of the biggest. Okay, I got a consent wala thing, which is, I think now a good thing on Zoom. It never used to happen for recorded meetings. So at least now I know I have to be a little more conscious about what I'm saying. So good that the China part was before it was recorded. Anyway, so just joking. I wanted to say that all of those responsibilities would also be on your shoulders when you are representing your respective portfolios, constituencies, and political parties at the Lok Sabha at Vaze MUN, Vaze Youth Parliament, sorry. Um, so what is the Lok Sabha and what do they do? I think this is very important for you to know. For you to understand what is it that they do on an actual sitting day, right? Once you understand that, you will be able to know, okay, this is what I'm also required to do. So Lok Sabha has, I mean, if I have to very simply divide the proceedings for you, it has pre-legislative business and legislative business, right? So somebody just said, na, ke they are required to make laws or, see to it that they pass suitable laws. So for all of that, all for that purpose, you have the legislative business. Okay. Who can tell me the agenda for this committee? I'm sure by now you must have gone through the background guide. Okay, if not, then buck up. You have one day to research. Who can tell me the agenda for this committee? It's a very simple question.
It is the Tribunal's Regulations Bill, right?
Right, correct.
This is the
So,
Tribunal Ordinance 2021.
right. This is not an agenda which is taken up every now and then. So, you may feel, are ye, thoda unique sa agenda hai, right? And it's a bill, right? So, this bill will be discussed in the legislative business because that's what parliamentarians do. They discuss bills, they don't discuss laws. They discuss bills, and bills are later converted into laws, right? So bills are first introduced in the House, they are discussed very thoroughly in the House, and then they are passed based on simple or special majority. And then they go to the other house. So agar Lok Sabha mein once the bill passes, then it goes to the Rajya Sabha. Then once it passes over there, where does it go?
So in the
To the
Constitution.
President.
Yes, the president is the correct answer for his signatures. What happens after that, after the president signs?
Then it goes to the
The
Constitution.
law.
It's added to our Constitution.
Constitution.
No, so
It is
like
supposed to be added to the Gazette, National Gazette.
Correct, correct. That is absolutely right. It is published in the official gazette. Hai na? So this is how a law is passed in a country. That's when it becomes sort of, legally binding on all of us. So first they discuss the bill, then they discuss, and this includes all sorts of bills and uh, every other legislation that can come up, including amendment bills, right? So if they want to amend a law, then also they will follow the same procedure. So my point is all of this happens in the legislative business of the House, right? And I will explain that to you in a little more detail. So my question is, what happens in the pre-legislative business? Legislative business mein, you will discuss this bill, which is your agenda for this committee. So can you discuss anything outside the agenda in your pre-legislative business?
I think it's yes.
Correct. And have you seen that on TV, any of the debates? What do you call them? Question hour. Have you heard of it? Question hour, 0 hour. Has anyone heard of these terms?
Only heard.
Okay, great. So this is what I like about Indian committees. I think a lot is still not known, and therefore I feel very happy. I think it's an evening worth spending right? Mithil and Dharmil, if we could just tell them a bit, not everything, but whatever little bit we know. So pre-legislative business means you talk about issues that affect the citizens. I'm putting it very simply before you. Now, issues that affect the citizens could be anything. It could be about, what is the status of vaccination in the country? How are we prepared for the third wave? Why is Twitter being banned or because it lost its intermediary status? What is this issue with the scam and the land scam with respect to the Ayodhya temple, or what is that communal conflict which recently transpired near Delhi? It could be any of these things, right? So it's all current and developing. So in the pre-legislative business, you can discuss things outside the agenda. And how do you do that? You do that in a question hour and in a 0 hour. Okay. So if you are sitting in a question hour, if you're a minister, you will get a lot of questions from the opposition. Those questions are of two types. Questions can be starred and questions can be unstarred, right? Star as in STARRED. And questions can be unstarred. If the question is starred, the concerned minister has to answer that orally. Okay. And if the question is unstarred, the concerned minister has to answer it in writing. Why do I say the concerned minister and why do I not say the concerned opposition member? Because, as I told you in the beginning, it is the opposition that asks questions to the treasury, the ministers, those who are ruling the country. Correct? So your job as an opposition member would be to ask crisp, well-defined questions. They could be starred or unstarred, right? And the responsibility of the ministers would be to answer them. So that's very simple. That's the format of the questionnaire for you. And if at any stage you have any doubts, you please ask me, okay? Because if you're not understanding, I would like to simplify it further for you. Sometimes I don't realize because I'm a lawyer by profession, so I end up using complicated language. I don't want you to be to suffer from that. So if you don't understand anything that I'm saying, you let me know. Now, because it's an academic simulation, we would like to set a limit on starred questions. And that limit is 5 questions per member, maximum. Okay. How do you send them and what's the deadline? Mithil or Dharmil, one of them will share a Google form with you. So we are trying to simplify it, wherein you will have to mention your name, your party, whether the question is starred or unstarred, and then the question. And the deadline to send these questions is by 11 p.m. tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow night, 11 p.m. That's when the form will close and we will share whatever questions we have received on the WhatsApp group itself so that the members of the ruling party can accordingly prepare for it. They can prepare the answers.
So can you once repeat regarding on what topic we can prepare the
Any
questions?
topic. That was the point, right? So in a question hour and in a 0 hour, you can send questions on any topic of public importance, any topic that concerns the citizens. Correct? Although in 0 hour, you would try to take it up on the spot. So I'll come to that a little later. So that those would be some issues which are more sort of urgent in nature. But in a question hour, you can broaden yourself and not necessarily restrict to the agenda concerned. Okay. Is that very clear to everybody? Any doubts about the question hour?
What kind of questions we can ask other than the agenda, like about any bill or any law or?
Yeah, anything that is happening recently. And I just gave you some examples which I shouldn't have, but I'm sure questions will come on all the recent things that are happening.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else on question hour?
I had a doubt.
Hmm.
Will the number of questions be to, as in the per treasury member? one treasury member gets only 5, or
No,
every...
you get 5 questions. As an opposition member, you get to ask maximum 5 starred questions. Okay, let me clarify it
Okay.
once more. Maximum 5 starred questions you can ask. And it's your prerogative. Kisko पूछना है that you will decide. But maximum 5 questions आप पूछ सकते हो, start questions, right? Unstart, there is no limit. And again, just to clarify, unstart questions require written response. Start questions require oral response. तो अगर हम लोग कोई limit set नहीं करेंगे, so it can continue for 3, 4, 10 days, right? So that's why we are setting it up for you guys. Yeah. So 5 start questions maximum. As an opposition member, you can ask the members of the ruling party. One thing which I would like to clarify is that the leader of the house, that is the prime minister, has the prerogative to divide the questions between any minister that he wants to, and also the members of the ruling party. So agar aap, if you are very keen to answer some question and you as a minister didn't get a question, you can always reach out to Modi ji and he can give you 3 or 4 questions, or, depending on how many questions are there. So that equitable allocation amongst the members of the ruling party and the ministers would be on the shoulders of the prime minister. We will not interfere in that. क्योंकि क्या होता है कि ज्यादातर क्वेश्चन मोदी जी को ही जाते हैं. हर कोई मोदी जी को, ऑपोजिशन में हर कोई मोदी जी को क्वेश्चंस भेजेगा, या तो अमित शाह और वन ऑफ दीज इंपॉर्टेंट पोर्टफोलियोज. सो कुछ लोग क्या बोलते हैं कि जो मिनिस्टर्स होते हैं वो कहते हैं सर हमको तो, आई वाज द टेक्सटाइल मिनिस्टर, आई डिडंट गेट एनी क्वेश्चन. एंड वो क्वेश्चंस पूछ भी नहीं सकते हैं क्वेश्चन आवर में, राइट? दे कांट आस्क एनीथिंग बिकॉज हाउ विल दे आस्क देयर ओन गवर्नमेंट. So for this purpose, it is up to the leader of the house, the prime minister, to distribute the questions, because we anticipate that most of the questions will go to him only. So that is his prerogative, and by 11 p.m. we'll get the list anyway. Any other questions on question hour?
I had one query about the delegations where we have to register them. So
that you ask the secretariat. I don't know about the delegation rules and all. So I think you'll have to send an email, but I don't know, right? So you can reach out to Nupur after this session. And we have so after the question hour, we have the 0 hour. It's called the 0 hour. Why is it called the 0 hour? Does anyone know? Okay, because it's 12 o'clock. So in Lok Sabha, 0:00, it's conducted at 12 o'clock. So in a normal Lok Sabha, you have 11 to 12, you have the question hour. 12 to 1, you have the 0 hour. 1 to 2, I think you have lunch break. 1 ghanta, they have lunch. And then 2 to, I think 5:30, they sit for the legislative business. Just may they discuss bills. So that's how one day in a Lok Sabha looks like. And what our effort is to try to give you that experience. Right? Just because it's a model UN simulation or a youth simulation, we don't want to completely take away, from the essence of what is actually the required simulation. So 0 hour is 0 hours. It starts at 12 p.m., ends at 1 p.m. So that's why it's called 0 hour. Now, in our case, it may strictly not be for 1 hour. Right? It may exceed 1 hour or it may be less than 1 hour. It really depends on your participation and the number of questions, etc. So don't take it literally, but we will definitely have it. 0 hour is unmoderated, meaning we will not sort of sit and call out, names for that. It will be unmoderated. So you guys will have to self-moderate it, right? And 0 hour, maybe you can discuss anything which is beyond the agenda. You don't have to stick to the agenda necessarily, right? So it's up to you. So my suggestion to you guys would be that, I don't know, after this meeting, maybe you can stay back here, or you can have another meeting later or tomorrow. You can decide. But come up with 2-3 important topics that you would like to take up in the 0 hour. Otherwise, it will become difficult for you guys to moderate. Okay? So please try to do that. And decide 2-3 important issues, any topics. These could be any topics जो आप लोग को करना. Maybe, on the tribunal bill, the scope of debate is limited, right? And you feel that there are so many other important issues जो हमको discuss करने हैं. So this is a very, very good opportunity for you. So you can mutually decide. पहले से in my experience, पहले से decide करना is better, because बाद में लड़ाई नहीं होगी, right? You can, with a peace of mind, go and prepared, right? You can be prepared, and you can therefore proceed with the 0 hour. And usme bhi there could be back and forth questioning and speeches, but it's completely on you guys how you want to moderate and decide. Like one of you can sit with the timer perhaps and moderate and say, okay, everybody speaks for 1 minute and expresses their view on this agenda, but it's completely on you. We won't prescribe any time limit or anything as such. Okay, so 0 hour is clear to everybody? Yes, Adiranjan ji.
The 0 hour that we conduct on the first day, it will the topics can be carried on to the second day, right? The 0 hour on the second day, the same ones.
We'll have only 1 0 hour.
Oh, okay.
We'll have only 1 0 hour. There won't be like multiple 0 hours. But we can stretch it beyond an hour if you guys want it. So as I said, there's no inherent time restriction, but we can't have multiple 0 hours. Okay, Saturday could be 1 0 hour, Sunday could be 1 0 hour. No, not like that. So the flow is like this. You will first have, oh, I forgot to tell you about opening statements in the beginning, everybody. The first thing that you will do is you will give a 2-minute speech, right? Everybody has to do that. That's the first thing you will do in committee, and that will be on the agenda of the committee. That's called the opening statement. सब लोग 2-2 मिनट का opening statement देंगे, उसके बाद question hour होगा, then there will be 0 hour. Then there will be short duration discussions, then there will be legislative business. And then the committee will end. Okay? So I have explained introductory statement, question hour, 0 hour to you guys. Now I will tell you about short duration discussions and then the legislative business, and then we can take whatever queries you have and we can end this ROP session. Okay? But before that, any doubts on the 0 hour or the introductory statement, which I've just explained to you?
I wanted to ask, like for the opening statements, we have to introduce ourselves, or basically what we have to introduce ourselves, or what you have to say?
Introduce ourselves meaning?
Like just say our name and some more things, or basically what you have to say for opening statements?
You just have to present your stance on the agenda of this committee as the member representative of that political party. So for example, I'm Rahul, assume I'm representing Rahul Gandhi. I will not say, hello, my name is Shivam, I graduated from Government Law College, blah, blah, blah. I'm not concerned. I won't say all of those things. What are my views as Rahul Gandhi on that agenda? That is what you have to say in the introductory statement.
Okay.
Is that clear to everyone? And
Yes.
before that, we will have, an informal sort of, interaction. Jisme normally we'll have a chit chat about, where are you from and all that. Those intros will be separate. I'm talking about the official proceedings. So you're not required to introduce yourself anywhere, right? And you will not even represent, you will not even sort of, like you may have your friends in the committee, but you have to call out, their portfolio names and not their actual names, right? Like with me, Dharmil Mithil, it's fine. You can call us, speaker, deputy speaker, or Shivam sir, Dharmil sir, or whatever. Or you can just call Shivam, Dharmil, and Mithil. But with each other, you have to refer, like Adiranjan Chaudhary ji or Mahua Moitra ji. So that's how you'll have to talk to each other. Any other questions? Anything on the introductory statement? Or yes.
Can you please explain once the difference between question hour and the 0 hour?
So question hour is where you will have all the questions being sent in advance. Okay. And these could be start questions or unstart questions. So start questions will require oral responses, unstart questions will require written responses. Whilst in 0R, that will not be the case. Everything will be on the spot. What you can decide is the topics that you want to discuss in the 0R in advance. That is also your choice. It's not compulsory. You can even decide it on that day, but it will be helpful if you decide it today or tomorrow itself that these are the 2-3 topics that we would like to discuss in the 0R. The second difference is that the question hour is moderated. So we will very much be there. We will call out the name of each person asking the question and then the person who has to respond to the start questions. Whilst the 0R will be unmoderated. So we'll just sit as spectators. We won't be actively moderating the proceedings and you will have to self-moderate it and manage with yourself.
Sir,
I hope that answers your question.
sir,
Yes.
so I have a doubt that what is the difference between the start questions and unstart question? I missed that part actually.
No problem. Start questions require an oral response from the concerned minister. Unstart questions require a written response on WhatsApp. They will reply. Okay. So if you send a start question to Amit Chaji, he will verbally answer that in the committee. वो question पढ़ के he will answer, speak. And unstart me, he will reply on WhatsApp on the group.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So,
Yeah.
sir, will there be a separate form for unstart questions?
No, same form. Whilst you're filling the question, you will have to specify whether it's start or unstart. There'll be a column for that.
Okay.
So you'll write in that column whether that's a start question or an unstart question. We'll share the form, don't worry, after this session, and you can fill it. As I said, you can send the questions till 11 p.m. tomorrow. So you have more than 24 hours to research and put your questions. And it could be on any topic, right? Any issue of public importance. Anything else on these two things, introductory statements and 0R? But I'm glad, so many questions are coming in. That shows that you're genuinely sort of interested. So that's good. Okay. After all of this, you have short duration discussions. Now, this is very important. And here I would like to distinguish between an actual short duration discussion and how we propose to have it, because I don't want you guys to be under any myth. Okay. So the purpose of a short duration discussion is to discuss an issue and get the perspective of members of the House on that issue. Usually this is in an actual Lok Sabha. It's not related to the topic of the legislative business. But here that will not be the case. Otherwise, we will go too much outside the topic. So in a short duration discussion, you will discuss important sub-issues within the agenda. Okay, so you can take multiple short duration discussions. You can decide the total time and per speaker time. You don't have to send us anything, in advance. All you have to do is just tell us as the concerned member, raise your hand and say that this is the topic on which I would like to have a short duration discussion. This is the total time, this is the per speaker time. And if you get majority votes, so if there are 40 members present and you get 21 votes in your favor, simple majority that is, we will proceed with that. And in the agenda itself, there are certain issues that need to be discussed. So you can again decide those issues within the agenda of this committee and discuss them one after the other in form of short duration discussions. Is that very clear to everybody? Any doubts on this? Any doubt about short duration discussion? समझ में तो आया ना कि क्या है? कोई भी sub issues you can select from the agenda, that is the tribunal bill, and you can discuss them one by one. Okay.
So if I propose a short duration discussion, I have to also specify the time for which it can go on.
Yes.
Okay.
You can specify the time. For example, 20 minutes, 2 minutes per speaker. Okay. Just
Okay.
giving you an example. It could be anything else.
So I could go till time per speaker as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to. That's how we will choose the number of speakers. Then we'll say, okay, whoever is interested, just raise your hands. And in a 20-minute motion with 2 minutes per speaker time, we'll select 10 speakers. Then those 10 people will speak on that sub issue, which you have selected
Okay.
from within the agenda. Okay? Then we have, what do we have next? Legislative business.
Long, yeah.
Yeah. हाँ, legislative business बहुत important है, and this is very important because I think it's important for you guys to understand this. Legislative business में, and this, you may read somewhere in future, or you may have read it. There are three readings. There are three readings of a bill. So हमारा topic, tribunal bill. I'm saying tribunal bill. Full form you all know already. तो उसका three readings होना is a must. Three readings क्या होती हैं? First reading में the bill is introduced. Okay, who introduces the bill? Can anyone tell me? Who
The one who has
introduces the bill?
proposed it.
Yeah, so it will be the concerned minister, right? It will be the concerned minister, correct?
Yes.
Okay, can it be a private member, as in somebody from the opposition party, say somebody from the Congress party? Can they introduce a bill?
No.
The answer is yes, they can. Okay, and that sort of bill is called a private members bill. So this is only for your information. Okay, so for instance, Shashi Tharoor, who, as you know, is from the Congress party, he proposed a bill before the House, before the Supreme Court Puttaswamy judgment came and the Nas Foundation judgment came, a bill to decriminalize homosexuality. So that is one of the examples. But the chances of a private member's bill passing are very low. That's why nobody knows about them. This is why you guys don't know that, a member from the opposition can also, put such a bill before the House. It's
But
called a private member.
in the end,
But-
it did get decriminalized, right?
Yeah, but that was by the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court, yeah.
Yeah, so it
Through
has
the
nothing to do with
parliament,
what the
it's hard.
no. It has nothing to do with what the parliament did. There is a brief history to it. So I think in 2009 or 10,
Yeah,
Dharmil, you
in
can correct
2009.
me if I'm. Huh. Dharmil,
There
you can
it stood. It
correct
was
me if
still
I have.
criminalized in 2009. There was a case as well.
Yeah, so 2010 or 9, Delhi High Court had decriminalized it, right? Then it went into an appeal before the Supreme Court. It
2013.
got criminalized again. And then the Puttaswamy judgment came, which basically said that right to privacy is a fundamental right. As a consequence of that, in the Nas Foundation case, the recent one, it was, they decided that since privacy is a fundamental right, it can't take away somebody's right to have consensual sex. So that was their rationale behind going against Section 377. Uh, and so Parliament has nothing to do with it. But my point is they could have done it in the Parliament also. But so there are many such things. In fact, one recent bill that I read of was of two-child policy. That's a private member bill because it's proposed by one of the Shiv Sena MPs. I think it's in the Rajya Sabha. Read about it. Bill on two-child policy, Shiv Sena. If you search it, you will get that. It's a funny. I mean, I shouldn't call it funny, but it it intends to insert a directive principle of state policy in the constitution. So it's a constitution amendment bill to insert a directive principle of state policy to have two-child policy in India. So quite interesting, but as I said, because it's from Shiv Sena, the chances of it passing are not so high. Usually bills from the government or presented by the concerned ministers have the tendency to pass because they have the majority, right? So yeah. So now in your 3 readings, first reading you will have to, the concerned minister will introduce the bill. In the second reading, the bill will be discussed. Now that discussion can happen in two parts. One is, first you discuss the general provisions of the bill. So everybody gets a chance to speak and they can highlight the general provisions and principles of the bill and their overall outlook on the bill. And then you have clause by clause discussion. But clause by clause discussion, if we don't have enough time, we may not take it up, or we may shorten it to say chapter by chapter discussion, right? So that's the second reading. So second reading comprises of these two things. Again, first reading, the concerned minister introduces, that's it. Second reading, you have general principles being discussed, followed by clause discussion. And in the third reading, you have it passed. So voting happens on that, and simple majority will be required for this bill, and then it will be considered as passed in the Lok Sabha. And that's about it. So that's what the Lok Sabha does, and that's what you guys are required to do for the 2 days. And now, if you have any questions, you can ask me, and then we can wrap up this session. By the way, do you guys want to stay back after we leave? Because we will have to request the secretariat accordingly.
And stay back to decide the topics for the 0 hour, right? For that.
Yeah, for topics for the 0 hour, topics for the short duration discussion. That is something which you can also decide, correct?
So yes, we can stay back.
Okay, cool. Okay. So yeah, any questions? By the way, Dharmil and Mithil, did I miss out on anything? You can please feel free to intervene, and add whatever you guys want to. If I've
No, I don't think it's covered very well, Shivam.
Everything is covered.
Okay. Cool. Any questions?
So is there any paperwork required?
No. Dharmil, I heard of one recent committee. I'll tell you later which committee and which in Lok Sabha they were asking position papers. So I found it quite funny, but then I thought that okay, maybe that gives some impetus to the participants. But I don't think we'll have any paperwork or any position paper for them, right?
Right. Like since everything in Lok Sabha is, pre-decided and
Yeah.
conduct of business is given, just 2 days prior
Correct.
doesn't make sense.
Right. So no paperwork, no position paper is required. Acha, some of you guys may have been at the intra-MUN concluded recently, no? Was there any of you in my committee by any chance? Because that was a UNSC that I was chairing at your intra-MUN, and there I had, because I mean, for most of the UN committees that I chair, I do have position papers with proper weightage given to that, but not for a Lok Sabha. So don't worry.
So,
Yeah.
point of orders can be raised during the legislative business, right? Or is it only for Rajya Sabha?
What do you mean by point of order?
Sir, as in if during somebody making the speech, they made a factual error.
No, this does not happen in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, okay? So, कोई सपोज शशि थरूर कोई स्पीच दे रहा है तो वहां पे कभी आपने देखा है, टीवी पे भी कभी देखा है कि कोई खड़ा होकर पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर रेज कर रहा हो? ऐसा नहीं होता है ना कभी। तो जो चीज होती नहीं है वो हम लोग क्यों करें? बट पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर यू कैन रेज ऑन द एग्जीक्यूटिव बोर्ड, शिवम, धार्मिल, मिथिल, दैट इज राइट। अगर हम लोग कुछ गलत करते हैं या वी डोंट फॉलो द रूल्स, if there is any procedural inaccuracy, so to say, then you can raise a point of order on us.
Okay.
Got it? Not otherwise. Can we question on the bills already passed, but their implementation is not as per promised by the concerned government in power? Yes, you can do that. Yeah, you can do that. Any other questions? बस हो गया, चलो फिर बाय बाय एवरीबॉडी। अच्छा
Sir, last question.
No. उसके बाद भी होगा तो I'll have to take it ना.
Okay,
Yeah, tell
okay.
me.
So what we have to introduce for 2 minutes in your introductory part.
इंट्रोडक्टरी स्टेटमेंट में आप अपने व्यूज बताओ. अपने मतलब आपके पोर्टफोलियो. आप करुणानिधि जी है ना, तो आप अपने व्यूज एज करुणानिधि जी प्लीज बताइए ऑन द एजेंडा ऑफ दिस कमिटी. ओके
Okay, okay, okay.
एनीथिंग एल्स? कितने लोग फर्स्ट टाइमर्स हैं ये कमिटी में? कितने लोग फर्स्ट टाइमर्स हैं? जरा जस्ट रेज योर हैंड ना. I'll get an idea. Adhiranjan Chaudhary ji, Karunanidhi, Rajnath Singh, Prem, Faisal, E.T., Anurag, Vardhan. Oh my God, that's a big number. So जितने लोग ने hands raise किया है अभी, just tell me कि आप लोग को समझ तो आया ना whatever I've told you, या सर के ऊपर से गया? Did you all understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Little.
ओके ग्रेट. ठीक है, जितना भी आया गुड, और जो नहीं आया है वो आ जाएगा. आप सैटरडे संडे को पार्टिसिपेट करो. आई होप यू विल हैव फन, यू विल हैव अ ग्रेट टाइम. cool. So with that being said, we can end this session now, but you guys can stay back and continue with your discussions, and कुछ भी personally message mat karna, because I can't keep a track of personal messages, but if you'll put it on the group, one of us will definitely
sir,
get back.
It's only admins
Okay,
on
one of
the
us.
group, I think.
Yes, sir. So it's showing that only
Admins
admins
what?
can
Only
send
admins can
messages on the
message.
group.
Yeah, they'll change it. They'll change it now. They'll change it.
So if anyone's staying back, like if only 2 or 3 are staying back, then like it seems pointless.
Can we make an unofficial
Before
group in
that, हम लोग, any questions, any remaining questions for us, or we can leave? If we can leave, then I'd just say bye-bye to everybody and all the best to everybody. And we'll see you on Saturday.
Sir,
No further questions?
if there is
yes.
certain suppose we have to suggest certain reform or bill, so we need to mention it in the form, or we can ask it directly in the parliament session. So we can mention it in the form also, no?
I didn't follow. Dharmil, did you get his query?
I think you're saying that if you want certain solution or any reform, if you can ask that via question, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
So perhaps you can, like the ambit of questioner is, endless, as you know. So if you have any any hypothetical question, you can ask it. But ideally, you would just, you can just raise it during the general debate in the legislative business.
Yeah.
Try to keep your questions when the question are as simple as possible.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay then. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, thank you so much for your time, for being such patient listeners. The attention span is pathetic for an online meeting. But you guys, stayed till the end and were very active. You asked so many questions, so thanks so much, and all the very best. And give your best on the 2 days. All the best, guys. Bye.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye. See you on Saturday.